Alrighty. Well, I'm going to do a bit of review here. I went to a place called Nightingale Superstore in Melbourne, and picked up some strange, intriguing stuff. I'll just turn off my little frying pan here. It's not so strange and intriguing, but I've got some stuff. But the place is strange and intriguing. Bit of duct tape there, all different colours. It's not made in China. It's actually made in Indonesia, and American brand though. So yeah. Now I remember this stuff. Now this, you might notice, she's a little bit different. Doesn't look like normal duct tape, does it? That's because it's cloth tape. There's actually a cloth inside it, if I can... Now, I remember this stuff. We had this during my apprenticeship. It was $7 to $8 a roll. Per roll in 2001. You can't see it much, but there's like a cloth. And I think basically with this one, you've got tape, cloth, and then the adhesive. It was a lot more visible than the stuff we had in the apprenticeship, but yeah, this is bloody strong. And when you tear it, it always tears fairly straight, because it's, you know, pretty much most of the time it'll tear along the cloth line. You can also tear it in strips really well. If you have normal duct tape, run-of-the-mill, you know, the normal duct tape, and you sandblast something, it'll just blast it off. Like, it won't really protect it. You get any more than 2 layers of this stuff, and it will protect it against sandblasting. So we used to effectively mask stuff up against the actual sandblasting. Having said that, you don't want to use it as masking tape purely out of cost, or at least that used to be the case. But this... $2 a roll, and we were paying something like $7.58 per bloody roll back in 2001. And it's made in Indonesia, not China. So this is another one here. My grandfather had one of these that my father got, and I basically, you know, was using it, and yeah, got a little bit hard with it, and it killed itself. But it was only sort of probably like a crap one, like that. That's another one I've got that you just put in a drill. It's great for cleaning steel. You get rust off stuff, you get grease off stuff. With sandblasting, I'm going to get a little bit technical here. There's class 1, 2, and 3. Now, class 3 is absolutely clear of everything, including mill scale. Class 1 is, you know, just most of the mill scale still on. Class 2 is a bit in the middle. And the lowest end of the scale, you have a whip blast, and that's where you just quickly flick it all over. That is also at the same level as what they call a wire brushing, which is where you stick something like this little turd into your drill. But that's the way that actually wears out the bearings in the back of your drill and kills the poor bastard. So that's not a great idea. What is a good idea are these things. Now, there's a different sort that you can sometimes get that's splayed out sideways, but most of them are down like this. And on top of that, if you look closely, they're all actually individually spiraled on themselves. Each individual bunch coming out here is twisted around on itself. At the back it has what's known as an M14 times 2 or X2. I think it's M14 times 2, but yeah, basically M14 X2. That will fit the majority of angle grinder threads. So you take off your disc and you take your little plates off that hold your disc, and you just screw that straight on, and then you can use the angle grinder. And let me tell you, I used to use these where I last worked, not this brand, but probably a brand that's not much better. And they are amazing. There is not much that you can't force those things to do once they're in an angle grinder. And yeah, $6, so not too bad. That's 3-inch, you get 5-inch, you get 6-inch. You don't get 9-inch because if you did, it'd probably just about kill any grinder, including a 9-inch grinder. You can get any shit off that you dream, like the power of those. You can, if you want, you can strip paint off things and everything with them. Yeah, the other one I got is, I might as well take my little lantern over here. Got to use this thing. Shit camera, you know. What do you expect from a 2010 phone? This one. Now, the old one you can see at the back here, that's an axe with a broken handle. And yeah, that was already here. She's getting a bit wobbly, and it doesn't help the fact that the end there is sort of being used to hammer a few fence posts in or whatever, and she's sort of warped a little bit. I do have packers I could put in, but she's sort of slipping out of its original piece. This one here is another tomahawk my uncle left here. They got epoxy in the end of that, and well, as you can see, the old epoxy isn't sticking at the end anymore, so she's sort of slipped up a little bit there as well. Probably just about a 1/2 inch. And I thought, oh, stuff this, I've got to try and fix both of these things to make the head stick to the handle. And I was in there, and well, I thought this had $18 on it, and it turned out it was $14. So, so you're looking at around $10 US for this one. Now, this is effectively a tomahawk, but instead you've got a rubberized fiberglass handle or a rubberized plastic handle or something. It's not actually a tomahawk in the way that this one is, or the way that this axe is an axe. It's actually like a bloody miniature log splitter. Have a look at the side profile of this crap. Have a look at that. So, you got these big ribs that run in the side of the damn thing, and everything wedges out. So there we go. So when I get this light in the right spot, there you go. You can see, if I lay it flat, you can probably see it even better. There you go. There you go. So that really helps, and that's 2.2 pounds or 1 kilo, that head. So that's, she works pretty bloody well, as you might notice. That's about half of an entire ladder there that I've split up. Just flaming to know it, actually. Doing the laundry out there, dealing with the roof, and this ladder was rocking back and forth like shit, and I thought, this is a liability, we're not keeping this damn thing. And so, yeah, I was doing the washing, and I fired up the circular saw, and we chopped it all up. So, that's the end of that one. So anyway, it was a bloody death trap anyway. It's probably friggin' 80 years old, isn't it? Who knows? I think it was born about the 60s or something, I'd assume. Well, that'll make it 60 years old. But anyway, yeah, I'll just sit you down here for a second. I'll talk a bit more about the place. It's basically, I found it online and just banging around in Google Maps actually, and said they have everything you can imagine there, and you know, huge array of stuff. And I thought I'd look at it, and some of the reviews are by fucking idiots, and a few of them are fairly accurate. So I thought I'd have a look. And it's sort of funny, there's some things, like what it basically is, it's an entire warehouse, and they've got like the back part of it is literally warehouse and you can't go into it. And the front part of it is the shop, and as you're walking around the shop you can see all these big pallet racking in the background. And it's basically like a Chinese importer's superstore. A lot of it is hardware related, workshop material, you know, like workshop equipment. You do have to be careful because some of it is not actually that cheap. Some of it is, well, yeah. I seen a Peltier cooler there that was $89, and it's a no-name shit-looking thing that I've actually seen sold elsewhere for, well, about $25 in years gone by. And meanwhile, I got a Waco one for $86, down from something like 104 or something like that. And you know, there's some things there. The price is, you know, it's a shit Chinese version at the price of a mid-range brand, and it's not cheap. However, there are some things there that are stunningly cheap. Water pumps there are probably some of the cheapest I've ever seen. Some of the 12 volt ones they have, like your RV style pumps, they're actually not worth the money, because you can get a mid-range brand for the same price. They've got a cheap Chinese shit one. But some of the other ones there, I'm not joking, gasoline / petrol powered water pump, you know, and we're talking like a 5 horsepower engine, like bigger than a blasted lawnmower engine, and $130, which converts out to about $90 US. I could hardly fucking believe it. We're not talking two-stroke here, we're talking proper, you know, just put normal unleaded in and off you go. Even some of the electric water pumps there, they have quite a few that are like some Chinese stuff you'll come across. It's like a knockoff of an old style. So it works as a water pump, but it isn't the modern day stainless steel and plastic. They got the ones there that are actually cast iron electric water pumps. And yeah, they got a cast iron casting for it with probably a cast iron impeller, but the outer casting that the impeller sits, the outer thing that impeller sits in is actually cast iron. Which is a bit more old style. They do have some, and these are as rare as fucking hen's teeth to see these. They're quite a, you know, you don't come across them often at all. The proper well pumps, like the proper bore ones where you got a hole that's bloody 4 inches wide and it's like fucking hundreds of meters down. They've even got them, and they're as rare as hen's teeth to find them. And they are full stainless steel, those ones. They have some very, very cheap fire-rated hose there, and I might end up someday getting something like that, because after the little grass fire incident, I'm not out of the idea of getting myself a proper friggin' bit of firefighting equipment. They got some, they're even 100 metres long fire hoses. You know, and these are ones that are rated to cop quite a bit of radiant heat and stuff like that. It's only cheap Chinese stuff, but I think I'd get a good pump and a mid-range hose. I might end up with a few hoses, to be quite honest. One for up near the front gate and another one for near where the water tank is or something like that. Maybe one out towards the almond trees as well to fight fire from that range as well. And even maybe one near the laundry. Anyway, I saw some gear there you'd barely believe. Stump grinders, like we're talking full bloody stump grinders, multiple different types of log splitters, talking big bastards too, you know, freaking huge big things. Ones you can tow behind your car type thing, you know. I even saw, and these are as rare as hen's teeth, and there's only one other place I've come across in Queensland that stocks these, and I could hardly friggin' believe it sitting there in front of me. It was a log saw with a 13-inch blade on the bloody thing. You could actually cut logs. Now this is designed to do firewood on a, you know, fairly reasonable scale. Instead of using a chainsaw, you can get the whole log and feed it into this thing. That was stunning to see that, you know, and I think that was only about bloody $1,200 or something like that. Might have been $1,800. It was, the fact that it even existed there was shocking to me. All different manner of bits and bobs, you know, pipe benders based on like a barrel jacks. They do have some other odds and sods there. There's a lot of cheap electrical stuff like household appliances. I don't know if they even had a bread maker. There's quite a number of those air fryers. There's there's 5 different brands of them basically. Couple of like actual deep fryers as well, electric deep fryers. Not really any audio equipment, but you got a lot of bits and bobs that are just the same old dollar store crap you'll find. You know, plastic forks and craft stuff that women might be into. There's vases there that I can tell they got these vases because nobody else, they just weren't selling. So this place has all these bizarre vases, and you'll probably see a video of those bizarre vases, and even this strange looking coffee cup with a square saucer and a handle that's just shit. But, you know, all these things are there, but it is phenomenal the amount of stuff they had. Even a bit of solar stuff is there, believe it or not, a bit of solar stuff. And I think they even had, not even Peltier fridges, I think they had actual car fridges as well. You know, it's all just cheap knockoff crap. Most of it, 80% of it, 30% of it is actual mid-range stuff, like that little tomahawk thingy I just showed you there before. That's Spear and Jackson. That's a sort of mid-range brand. You know, you used to buy that at Bunnings. You know, that's sort of like a, you know, it's not too bad a brand. Trenching shovels there, even plastic handle one. Like they're damn near impossible to find. They had them there for $35 with a plastic blimmin' or fiberglass handle and the whole flipping 9 yards. I thought, my gosh, you rarely even see these around, you know. There's a lot of bits and bobs there. I think there's even cheap welders. There's pipe fittings. Oh, and the most interesting thing of all, you go over the other side. They got pillows and a few housey related bits and bobs. Blasted cheap desk fan, like a pedestal fan. I think it was only $10 or something. There's a number of things there that, you know, they got cheap that are sort of homeware stuff. They even got pillows there that are actually stuffed in Melbourne, believe it or not. And then you go over the other section, and that's where the real white goods are. They have washing machines, heaps of them. And you're not going to believe this, baths. Fucking heaps of different baths. Yeah, quite a lot, like about a dozen different kinds of baths at least. And, you know, bathroom basins and all that sort of stuff. There's fiberglass baths there and stuff like that. I think I went to Blimmin' Move one or so, or Touch one or something, and they're actually fairly light. You know, and some of they even have tapware there. They've got a bit of crappy furniture that's fairly basic crap and bizarre looking chairs. But they've got these even tap fittings that some of them look $1 million, like they're like a fake rose gold. These tap fittings and all that, you know, and your proper spout and all your, you know, all your fancy type ones, and even the shower heads, the fancy type shower heads with a little silicone nozzle, square shower head type thing, you know. But all in all, it's a pretty full-on joint, really. surprising joint, even a whole bunch of different fishing rods and stuff like that. It's yeah, it's. I wouldn't say you spend a whole day, but you could definitely spend 2 to 3 hours there, pottering through all the stuff. It's even saw they call them diamond core drillers. The drills that they use, it's like a massive threaded thing on the front of a drill. Like it's a drill without a chuck. It's just this giant bloody, like a bolt coming out the front of this giant drill. And you've got these colossal size blimmin' like hole saw, but it's a diamond hole saw. And you can get multiple different size holes, and the bloody things, I'm not joking, they're about 2.5 foot tall, these blasted hole saw things, and it's basically designed for going through concrete, like seriously, like from floor number 7 back to floor number 6, that type of thing. It's quite phenomenal what they got. You know, keep in mind 80% of it's made in China and 20% of it's a mid-range brand, so not everything there is shit, but a lot of it is sort of pretty ordinary. A lot of engines as well for ride-on lawnmowers, but they're all missing the ignition gear for some reason or something, I don't know. You'd have to ask a bit more about that. Even though they have starter motors on, I could not find any spark plug leads for any of these motors, but I can see the blasted starter motor built onto it. So I think for whatever reason they don't have some of the ignition gear on it, but there's, you know, those you'd have to ask a little bit more about those or know what you're looking at. And what do they have next? Oh yes, chainsaw. I must admit it's probably one of the shittest chainsaws I've seen in my friggin' life, but it was only $130. You know, and it was about a bloody 16-inch bar, but you could just tell it was as plasticky as all fuck. Like, it was badly plastic. But I think it was running an Oregon chain, which means it's easy to get replacement chains for it. But I get the feeling with me and my usage, I'd probably, you know, the handles are only sort of mounted on to the body. You know, it still has springs, you know, but this had weaker springs, and I really don't think it had survived my style use, especially how I like to push chains that are just about buggered just to get that last little bit out, you know. But anyway, definitely worth a look. Don't think you're buying Rolls-Royce, because you're not. But, you know, if it's just, yeah, you'd be shocked at what the prices are, but know what prices are before you just assume everything's cheap, because some of it isn't cheap, and a lot of it is, but there's some things that surprisingly just are not at all cheap, and you'd be just as good going and getting a mid-range thing from somewhere else for the same price. So anyway, that's my little review of Nightingale Superstore.